Shadow of the Colossus is probably the most epic giant-infused fantasy game I have ever experienced. There is nothing like it, a game full of awe and wonder, deep meaning, and designed to make you feel small and insignificant. Welcome, dear viewer, to perhaps one of the most underappreciated games in history. I honestly can't fathom why almost no one talks about this gem. The whole epicness of this game really brings to light that we as players truly got spoiled with a game like this released back in the year 2005. So I know some of you have played this game, but also at the same time, most of you might have only played the remake in 2018, a fully reimagining of the original masterpiece. Something you also might question is why I'm going to be showing the original instead of the remake. Well, there's kind of a few reasons. One, I want the full, nostalgic, authentic experience, the way it was meant to be played. Two, my goal as a channel is to overview or review older games to keep the light going and make sure these titles don't go forgotten. By showing the original, it helps keep people be reminded of why they're playing the remake in the first place. I have no problem with remakes as long as they don't try to push away the original concept. Talking to you, Halo Anniversary. And three, I don't have a PS4 or PS5. So today I will be playing the PS3 port of the game. I did some research and apparently the PS3 version is the most stable, plays in high definition resolution, stays at a solid frame rate, and overall has less issues. I really wanted to play the PS2 version, but for your sake, I'd rather show you guys this instead of this. The only real difference is that the PS3 port is a little harder on you with the physics, which I'll explain later on in the video. So, sit back, grab some snacks, put me in the corner of your room while you do something else, and enjoy. The story starts off with this beautiful introduction of a young man named Wanda, traveling a great distance to now cursed land full of hostile colossi, all in an effort to save Mono, a young girl who actually isn't explained very clearly whether she is close relative, lover, or a princess. Either way, she was destined to bring upon a curse upon the people of her land, and was sacrificed all in an avoidance of this so-called curse that plagued her. Wanda is determined to do anything to bring life upon her body again. As he sets her down on the stone table in this now forgotten ancient temple, he hears a voice telling him what he shall do in order to receive the power of revitalizing his loved friend. Before we continue, every single cutscene, including the main title screen, you can manually move around the camera with your right controller stick. And remember, this game is from the PS2 era. This was not a very popular game mechanic back then, and Shadow of the Colossus will continue to impress me like this as we get further into the game. So in order to revive Mono, we have to go out into the land and defeat 16 colossi, or giants, to obtain their shadow souls, which are a 16-piece combined puzzle into a being named Dorman, a colossi to rule them all. Off we go on our first adventure, and I can't help how goofy Wanda's run actually is. Not judging necessarily, just an odd running animation, which I actually assume is related to the game's engine physics by the way he trips and falls when traversing on top of the giants. We set foot upon our first colossi. Now, none of them actually have any names. They are nameless, and any name you see for one of these things online are actually non-official names made purely for people to recognize a giant when talked about. Oh my days, bro. How the hell am I supposed to defeat that? These things are massive, absolutely huge, and really took my breath away not expecting the pure size of these creatures. Every giant has a sort of puzzle or unique way of taking down these things. There is a small symbol which contains their weakness stab spot, only once found after shining your sword of light in the direction of it. Each stab we plunge into its weak spot actually does a ton of damage, and before we know it, we take down this monstrosity in no time. With soon after it landing on its face, we get spaghetti looking things thrown into our body and waken up lying down before all 16 statues, with this one creepy looking shadow figure hovering over our body. We are then treated onto our next colossi. A huge four-legged giant, which by the way is probably one of the freakiest monsters we see throughout the game, and while all the colossi look similar with the fur, eyes and stone armor plates, each one is uniquely shaped and still are pretty easily distinguished from each other. Shooting at its feet, causing it to bow low, we climb onto its back, finishing it off in the butt. So that's our first two introductions to these creatures, and honestly I defeated them pretty quickly. Not sure if it was intentional, but almost all the giants don't take too much to bring them down. I suppose this was a way to keep it interesting and a faster pace to then move on with the next one. Off we go seeking our next victim, and I gotta say I love just riding through this huge open world. It's an eerie feeling of loneliness and emptiness. There truly isn't anything to see except for the wide open natural landmarks, seen as huge mountains, long deserts, and wide open canyons. And oh my goodness, this place is so damn cool. A huge pedestal carrying the home of this huge towering giant, his massive stone hammer giving off the illusion of him being bigger than he actually really is. He slams his weapon into the ground in front of us, and we quickly run up the stone pillar, being able to jump around to his back, doing huge damage, to soon realize I have to make it to the top of his head to deliver the final blow, and with that, he falls. Okay, so every time a giant dies, we take upon their shadow soul. This happens every time, and as the game further plays on, we slowly see Wanda's skin turn more and more pale, eventually even growing unnatural things on his body. The detail this game loves to portray is amazing, with even seeing scars and torn clothes the more we struggle with each fight. Wow, this is a change of terrain. With beautiful green luscious grass and Shire-like hills, we stumble upon another four-legged freak. Kinda reminds me of a praying mantis and, well, a lizard. Instead of this fight being just physically traversing its body, we have to lure it into a vulnerable spot, for which we run underground, popping up behind the creature and jumping up, dangling from its behind like a dag. Across its neck we run, getting ready to plunge our sword into its head, for which then it becomes very struggling to actually stay stable enough to be able to keep our posture. I previously mentioned the PS3 port being harder with the physics, and this is what I mean. It's actually easier for Wanda to keep his posture in the PS2 version rather than PS3 version, which honestly I don't complain about since it makes it a little more challenging, and I kinda like that. Fourth defeat. As I'm traveling to the fifth, I stumble upon this wonderful view, a huge canyon with stretched lake reaching down towards a waterfall. Perfect example of a natural landmark creating such an awe-inspiring world atmosphere. We reach this wide open space of just water and ancient structures poking out from below. Probably a good time to talk about swimming. It sucks. It's my least favorite thing. I don't know why I'm swimming like this, I don't know why I swim so slowly, and I don't know why it's so bloody hard to get up out of the water. Not my favorite mechanic, but you know, maybe I'm just being too picky. We swim further into the water, and this huge bird, vulture looking ass thing is just staring at me doing nothing. I'll teach you to stare at me like that bin chicken looking thing. Oh dear. It swoops down with us jumping at the exact right time, hanging on for dear life, eventually reaching the end of its wing, and bam, crashed straight into the middle of the lake. Again, repeating myself here, but just look at this forest we travel through. I didn't want to leave. To be honest, I just wanted to stay and admire the sun rays poking through the trees with sounds of wind and the rustling of the leaves. We venture forth into the desert and going underground through a temple embedded into the mountain with what seems to be a creature similar to the first boss we fought. This fight was pretty quick and honestly one of the most disappointing. Seeing him smash through the walls as he's chasing us was cool, but all in all it only required us to get him to peek under a structure while quickly jumping on his beard, getting to his weak spot. Honestly, one of the most underwhelming fights of them all. Next, a thunderous snake ripples through the water. And as I said before, I don't like the swimming mechanic, but this boss made it alright enough, grabbing onto the end of the tail, taking out his lightning spikes on his back, one by one, eventually making him vulnerable, leading him to sink down into the bottomless pit of the water. Getting to the next colossi, we travel through the wonderful landmarks again, getting us to another temple within the middle, a dragon-type lizard monstrosity, spitting fireballs which can easily one-tap you if you're not careful. This was a good fight, shooting at his feet, leading him to fall, exposing his belly, awaiting us for a deep plunge of a sword. This time, we awaken with a vision. With this new motivation we gather from a vision, we set foot into the middle of a dusty dead land. No beautiful natural formations, just a disturbed vision and a gigantic turtle creature shooting lasers from its eyes. Wait, what? Lasers from his eyes? Is that in the script? Riding around this beast is cinematic. Makes you feel like you're really playing in a movie. The camera work is absolutely amazing in this game. Panning, turning exactly at the right time, giving away an awesome cinematic viewing experience. We flip the giant beast over using these water sprouts, leaving us to be able to climb aboard its back, reaching its head. Kinda a missed opportunity for the weak spot to be on the belly, in my opinion. You know, kinda would have made more sense. The next Colossi is probably the furthest to travel to. Took me a good 10 minutes of riding to get there. Just further shows how massive the world is. And again, I don't have an issue for it taking that long to the next creature. I love just taking in the atmosphere of a large empty world, making you feel small, making you want more. The Sand Snake. And I saw some people online recently discuss that this fight was boring. But I think it's absolutely epic, with it being right up behind you, pressuring you to be precise when aiming into its eye, while also timing your movements on a horse takes some skill, and excites you when you narrowly dodge him slamming into a wall, with you leaping from your horse onto its back and finishing it off. Across the desert, near under the bridge, lies a deep canyon trapping one of the most feared creatures in the game. This was a twist. I didn't expect to be fighting a smaller creature, and honestly not a horrible fight. I quite enjoyed the mechanic of scaring it off the edge with fire, soon after leaping on its exposed back from the fall, breaking off its armor, riding the thing like a bull, taking any chance I get to stabilize myself, and bam, before we know it, he falls. Onto me, mind you. Another great landmark of a waterfall, leaning on the edge of a once great monument. Within this area crawls out a bull-like figure out from under the water. Dodging the lightning bolts and leaping onto its face, we hit these stones which on his helmet, getting him to turn in the direction we want him to, eventually getting onto higher ground to then expose his belly. With agony, he plunges back down into the depths where he came from. Expecting to wake back up into the castle, we get an unexpected plot twist, with the gathering searching for what I assume a power similar to what Wanda intends to learn. A desert flying snake shoots from the sands, reaching almost as tall as the skybox itself, circles strafing around us, not really intending on trying to hurt us. So we shoot at its flabby sacks. With it slowly descending to the ground, where we get the opportunity to grab onto its wings, traversing across its back, plunging the final stab, and leading it to the collapse into the sands. With 3 giants left, I am so determined to see the final boss. I'm excited. I feel like nothing can touch me at this point. Another unique biome, an abandoned jungle temple with it belonging to another smaller boss fight, and honestly, this one was also kind of underwhelming too. Jumping from ledge to ledge, eventually leading it to be crushed under falling stones, exposing its armor for us to finish it off in the back. Not an amazing fight, but also not really that bad at all. The second last giant. This dude is massive, a troll-like gorilla ascending from beyond the castle lookout. I don't mind this fight, was expecting something more, but in the end, we get to the top of a bridge ledge and jump onto its head, with the second weak spot being in its hand. We reach a sectioned off gate, with the entrance reaching a tower surrounded by a moat of water. We run across this gap, with me desperately spamming X on my controller, desperately making sure my horse makes it to the end. With a horrific surprise, my worst moment in gaming history happens. I am actually really freaking sad here. But Wanda is determined and we have to move on. Our beloved friend, now lost in an effort of sacrificing his life for Wanda and for Mono. So we climb, reaching over the edge to be greeted with such an ugly monstrosity. He shoots missiles, we dodge, we sprint undercover through the tunnels, we jump from ledge to ledge filled with adrenaline, with the only thing being in my mind is avenging Ada, our horse. We're beneath the Colossus' legs, climbing the stone structure surrounding his lower body and upper torso. With us agitating his back, we jump onto his arm, leaping once again to his right hand, eventually making the risky jump to his head, where we stab and stab and stab.
No screwed adverb. Around formulas ilicum adolf. You want the Eurarden, all of Ulumka. You cumku aek is inf, irum the cake you ludu. No sus, if careful. You cumku, Mkiwauri Yud. It was there no Katayud.
So unexpectedly, we turn into Dorman himself, smashing away at these soldiers, breathing out blue flame, and as cool as it is, it's not very great at controls, and I really struggle to aim and look around with this beast. Missed opportunity and more of a cool gimmick than gameplay. The soldiers and priest run out of the temple, with the priest dropping our sword into the water, creating a suction so strong we can't control. Wanda desperately trying to take back his body, all in an effort to reach his loved Mono, lying just beyond his reach. I'm happy to see our horse Ada surviving the fall, and honestly, it's not the ending I expected or really wanted. It's a story and lesson in how power can disturb our intentions. Notice how a lot of the beasts are passive and only attack you when attacked. His selfish desire to reverse death only led him to death itself, a theme and lesson of not being able to move on and accept loss. Wanda is only a hero to himself, putting others in danger without thinking of the consequences. He is effectively a villain to the world, destroying these creatures, withholding balance of good and evil of the world. This game made me ponder in my chair for a good 10 minutes after playing this game. Even I was for Wanda wanting revenge and having no remorse over these, for the most part, peaceful creatures. All in all, Shadow of the Colossus is a prized game that will sit in my collection of best games for the rest of my life. Cheers for watching, peeps, and if you want more of these older titles brought to life again, like and sub and leave a comment on what you would like to see next in the future. These old treasures are a part of a generation we will never see again, and I really hope I brought back some memories for some of you. Again, thanks for watching. Mr. Junkbox, signing out.